I don't really need to give this talk, actually. I just realised because Pauline pretty much covered all the main points that I'm going to talk about now. So she kind of stole my thunder, but it's actually great to see because there seems to be loads of overlap between what we got out of the various events, even though they are quite different. So thanks a million to Niamh and to the Heritage Council for inviting me to talk. And it was, as well as the other three speakers said, it was fantastic for us to get the recognition for being awarded under the Cool for Kids. And when I say us, there's loads of different people involved in this event, the Go Wild Nature Camps that we ran, which I'm going to tell you about now. And I think that was, definitely the key to success. So I feel kind of guilty being the one that was kind of nominated to talk, or the one that gets has got the recognition. And on that note, this lady, who's a powerful force in nature. Some of you might know her. This is the Heritage Officer in County Galway, Marie Mannion. And this whole nature camp, it was her brainchild. And then she pushed it over to me to kind of run with it. But really amazing character in Galway, and to have that support at a local level, and it's not even support, she actually is good for pushing people, is a huge help. So I suppose a little bit about my background in relation to this particular event. So I work with Birdwatch Ireland, and my background would be a lot more so in research and conservation and policy. And I kind of stumbled into the whole world of environmental education, and I'm fairly new to it as well, actually. So it was only a few years ago. There's a friend of mine that works in Natural History TV, and she twisted my arm to get involved with kids' nature documentaries. And then after that, I was totally hooked, and it was something that I found hugely rewarding, because it actually felt like you were making more of an impact and getting somewhere, as opposed to kind of banging your head against a brick wall trying to deal with politicians and trying to work in that context. And exactly like Pauline said, something that I've become very passionate about. And I think when you're running events like this, because they can be, very time consuming and require a lot of energy, that you have to have that enthusiasm, and then hopefully that enthusiasm kind of spreads to others and gets people inspired. So this is a very text-heavy slide. So this is basically what we were hoping to do prior to the Go Wild Nature Camp. So this is basically the aims that we set out when we were originally applying for funding. So the aims of the project are to showcase the wonders of the local wildlife to children and families in Galway, to make nature accessible and appealing to children, and to instill a sense of ownership, appreciation and excitement for their local environment. We also aim to learn from the camps to identify how they could be improved in future years, which aspects work best, and if the camps can be rolled out on a wider scale. So this was the first year, last year was the first year that we organised these camps. And basically to summarise that, basically what we were trying to do was basically just get kids out and about and get them to recognise what's on their doorstep, because I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar that it's something that I would be quite worried about, is just seeing kind of a disconnect with younger generations as to nature, as the environment. When I look sometimes I have a lot of nieces and nephews. Some of them are fantastic. They were actually helping out with this, but then others they're just glued to iPads or computers or phones, and it's seemingly impossible to get them outside. And I just kind of compare that to when I was a kid, and I was the exact opposite. I had to be literally dragged inside at night. So the whole idea was because Irish wildlife and nature can be hugely exciting, but it kind of takes a little bit of, it can sometimes take a little bit of work and a little bit of knowledge to see, what's right underneath your nose. And that was basically what we were trying to do. And just as Pauline said, as Sharon said as well, one of the keys, I think, why this worked and what made it so much fun was the fact that it was a huge collaborative effort, and there was loads of different people and bodies and individuals involved, and that made things so much. It made things nice and diverse, so that it was there was loads on offer for the kids in the nature camps, as you'll see shortly. But it also meant that it spread the weight, it spread the workload, and we're able to do so much more. And since we ran the nature camps last year, the different people that have been involved, it actually led to so much more. We kind of have gone off in tangents to organise different events, different bodies of work. So it really led to, kind of a snowball effect, led to other collaborations. So obviously the Heritage Council that funded it, and Galway County Council through Marie Mannion, the Heritage Officer. And then it was a Heritage Week event, obviously, which again was just fantastic to be involved in and gave us that platform to promote it. And then obviously ourselves, Birdwatch Ireland, coordinating it. But so many different groups and bodies involved. So we held 2 different nature camps, one in Uachtarard, and it was facilitated by Uachtarard Heritage Group, and they basically provided the venue, they provided assistance. They're absolutely fantastic. And then in terms of spreading word of mouth, they used their platforms, their contacts, their social media to basically tell people about it. And then in Portumna, the Irish Workhouse Centre, and some of you probably are aware of them because they've been nominated and awarded under the Heritage Awards previously. Absolutely fantastic group in Portumna, led by Steve Dolan. And so we held the second of the nature camps in Portumna. And then the different groups that are involved, a very good friend of mine, Ruth, who works at the Vincent Wildlife Trust based in Galway, GMIT, Galway Mayo Institute of Technology, Near Health Project, which is run through NUIG, and Animal Magic, friends of mine that have a wildlife rescue rehabilitation centre. So basically all of us pitched in together across the nature camps. The promotion was pretty easy, and it was actually very, very quick. It kind of took us by surprise, and that was one of the things really that I was really taken back by. So we put posters in the local schools, and I'd given some talks in the local schools. There was some local press. We set up an Eventbrite page, and again that was really useful and kind of similar to Sharon's points. It basically meant that made life really easy for us because we could keep tabs on the number of people that had signed up to coming, but also because it was an event for kids, it meant that was a really good means of collating the information and all the, say, emergency contact details of the parents and getting any information we needed in terms of say particular allergies of the kids or anything like that. So really, really useful platform and free to use Eventbrite. And the whole nature camps were free as well, because obviously we had the funding provided from the Heritage Council, and I think obviously that helps in making it appealing. And when I say the promotion was very swift, I was amazed because word spread so quickly. We limited numbers to 35 for each camp, just to make it kind of manageable from our point of view and for a health and safety point of view. But when we put out we literally, when the Eventbrite page went live, I just started getting an email after email of people signing up, and they were literally sold out, not sold out because they were free, but they were literally booked up within a really short space of time. Like I'm talking 1 day I think for Uachtarard and 2 days for Portumna. And then I continued to get emails from parents that they wanted their kids to attend, and unfortunately it was just booked up. So to see the appetite that was there for it was absolutely phenomenal. And then really important, I suppose, to know the target audience. And I think that, again, the reason why it seemed to be so popular is probably from parents thinking along the same lines as I was just describing about, maybe a little bit worried about the kids, disconnect from the environment, but also seeing it as an outlet of, the getting to know their local area. And it was all kids from the local area, and also from the parents' point of view, kind of empowering them a little bit, because a lot of the parents did come along and spent the whole time at the camp, and they seemed to get a lot out of it as well, because they were learning from the different activities and events that we were doing, and then that kind of empowers them to go off to the the local woods on a Saturday and then go exploring and kind of showing their own kids things. So that was the audience from one level, the parents, but then obviously far much more important were the actual kids themselves. And I suppose I had a bit of experience doing kind of nature programs, but also since then kind of schools projects and all that, and kind of learning as I go, kind of what works and what doesn't. And I think I would like to think for at least some of the aspects we hit the nail on the head. And as I say, friends of mine, Animal Magic, they're absolutely fantastic. And this was one of the aspects I do a lot of work on raptors, on birds of prey, and so we were kind of using them to, obviously kids get really excited when they see that, even fair to say adults probably do as well, but we're using them to kind of showcase like different aspects of our natural heritage. And this is an example. We played a really cool game where we were showing the kids how different birds are adapted to survive, and we were telling them about barn owls having silent flight, and we played a game where the kids lied down on the ground and closed their eyes, and they had to put their hands up when they could hear a bird flying over their heads, and they lied down on the ground, and a kestrel flew over their head, and straight away they all put their hands up. And then we did it again with the barn owl, and the barn owl flew over and back, and all the kids were just eyes closed. They didn't hear it at all, while all the other kids were in stitches laughing, watching them, even to the point that the owl actually perched. You can see that their eyes closed. I think this kid in fairness was wearing steel cap boots, but the owl actually perched on the boot of the kid, and he had no idea, and all the other kids then, just after that shot, were just were laughing. And then, like, so we ended, actually, this photo, obviously we did this inside, and that's because it was raining outside, and that was a contingency plan as well, and obviously we had to have that plan in place, but otherwise the emphasis was on being out and about as much as possible, and simple things like even bug hunts. It's amazing just, when kids actually get into it, and they kind of, initially they can be kind of, squirming and maybe not that excited about it, but then when they get into it, it becomes, a bit of competition. It's amazing just something so simple can give such enjoyment. But obviously, again, back to these guys were really helped as well. And it was so each camp was 2 days, and really diverse. And so some photos of birds of prey, because that's kind of one of my main areas of interest. But then things like looking at freshwater ecology, looking at invertebrates in the local river. And this was, again, an aspect that was really cool to watch, because you take a sample from the river, a kick sample, and you put it in the white basin, and we had a lot of different stations that the kids would move around, and they have an ID chart, and it's always the same reaction. Initially they look into it, and they just, think, there's nothing to see here, like, this is going to be boring. And then 10 minutes later, you're pulling them away from the tray when they're looking at all things like, like leeches and water boatmen and different beetles, and then sometimes you get small fish and everything, and like when they see them using the microscopes and all, it's amazing to see. And then a friend of mine, Tom Cuff, who does, some of you might know him, he's a heritage and school specialist in Galway. He's really amazing with kids, does origami, but again, really important, good kind of environmental conservation messages behind it. Things like moth trapping, small mammal trapping. That's actually my nephew there. That was a huge help with the camps, and then again the origami, and so really diverse over the couple of days, and what was again kind of reiterating what the other speakers were saying, that we were very much seeing it as the fact that it was the first year of the camps, and we're hoping to kind of run with them and to expand them. So we were really keen to get feedback both from the kids and the parents, and the feedback. The majority of feedback we got was really positive, and I've only included the positive feedback today. But there was some. It wasn't negative feedback. It was constructive feedback, and that's where I really learned from. So there was things like some of the parents and the kids themselves had some were saying that they would prefer to spend more time outside certain times, as opposed to, we were given talks and stuff as well, and that's really useful from our point of view to learn how to improve it for future years. Document things. I'm going to show you a video to finish with, because we're really lucky. This is Peter Cutler from Crowcrag, and he has done a lot of work for the Heritage Council, and he was working with the Heritage Council for Heritage Week, and he spent the first day of Heritage Week with us in Uachtarard, and so he was himself and his colleague were capturing photos, but we'd also recruit him to get a video of the first day, and he pieced that together for us, which I'll show you now in a minute. And that's the kestrel that was maybe didn't want to be on camera, so decided to perch on top of it. Also, as well, just as Pauline was saying, enjoy yourself. This is Ruth and Vincent Wildlife Trust, and you can see she's probably got the biggest smile in the whole room, and that's the kestrel again, finding a handy perch. And yeah, so it was fantastic from our point of view, because we were because it was so diverse. I'd do my bit, and then Ruth would be talking about mammals, Heather there in the background from GMIT be talking about freshwater ecology. So we were all learning, as much as the kids were learning, and probably the big kids in us were emerging as well over the couple of days. And I think that really worked, because as a group, we would all know each other and be friends, but it was a really relaxed, friendly environment, and the fact we were enjoying ourselves, I think, hopefully just kind of spread to others. So I'm just going to finish off now. It's a very short video, because it'll probably show you better than I can describe just what was involved in the events, hopefully, if it plays okay. So this is the nature camp video. It's only a couple of minutes long. The whole basis of the Go Wild Nature Camps is to try and kind of open kids' eyes to the kind of natural world around them, the wonders of the natural world, and trying to show them as well like what's on our doorstep, right from freshwater ecology to small mammals to mini beasts to birds of prey to larger mammals. So it's trying to kind of capture it all.
At the start of the day, I did a game where we were all standing in a circle and not everybody knew each other, so I wanted to just introduce everybody to each other. I threw a ball to each person and then they had to catch the ball and say their name, their favourite animal and a fact about their favourite animal.
I gave a bit of a talk in terms of birds of prey, where they fit into the countryside, their adaptations, some of the threats that are, that they're vulnerable to. And then it was fantastic. Animal Magic came along so the kids could actually see some of these birds up close and personal. So a lot of the stuff you're talking about, like say for example barn owl with silent flight, the kids get to see it, right there in front of them. We just did a mini beast hunt where it's just literally rummaging around the ground trying to find different insects and then have a look with the basic key and just identify what they are. They really get a kick from it and they're actually actively learning as they go. So it's fantastic to see that.
We ran a workshop called Furry Friends. We were looking at the small mammals. We have like bankfoals, wood mouse, pygmy shrew, our flying mammals, though the bat species we have in Ireland, and then some of our mustelids like pine martens and stoats. They can zone in on a teeny tiny insect at night in the dark in the forest without crashing into anything. Now that is amazing, isn't it? So we teach them how to become mammal detectives, how to see animals where they wouldn't normally have known they were there and how they're around them when they go for a walk in the forest or along the river.
The workshop that I'm going to do is called Aquatic Animal Investigations, and essentially what we're doing is giving the children the opportunity to investigate aquatic animals, so animals that live in our rivers and lakes. Because I think sometimes when they come to a river, it's more the larger animals, so like the ducks and the mammals, and particularly say in freshwater systems maybe otters, and they don't think about the insects that live within them because they can't see them. So it's only when you get into the river and you do your click sample and then you bring back your net and it's full of all these moving parts that they realise, oh my God, these are all different types of insects and different types of animals.
This camp here today and yesterday in Oughterard has absolutely exceeded all our expectations. The engagement with the children was absolutely incredible. It's really important to get kids at an early age to have an appreciation of the place they come from and an understanding, because if you want people to have respect for their environment and for their heritage, we're a better place to start than knowing your own local area. And indeed, I suppose the big surprise for us was the adults that stayed on, and they asked for an adult camp. So I think it's it's absolutely wonderful, and it'd be great to see them in every county around the country.
So thanks a million, guys. Say thanks to Niamh again and the Heritage Council.